Today is World Kindness Day. Yes, that's right, World Kindness Day. And I have to say, in this day and age, I think we can use all the kindness we can get, don't you? Try to get along a little better, right? Kind of don't have to always be arguing about various different things, usually, I don't know, politics. Anywho, so hopefully you're sharing some kindness out there. I know I'm trying to today. I try to every day, to be honest. But anyway, don't know. Maybe you're not out there trying to spread, a little bit of kindness. Can't tell you. But one thing I can tell you for sure is the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at the Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. So, today is episode 196 of the Daily Dope. How about that? So, kind of cool. Just closing in on 200. So, here's hoping everyone had a great weekend, a very safe weekend. And if you're here in the U.S., hopefully you enjoyed kind of, observing Veterans Day yesterday. I hope you took a moment out to recall those who have served our country and also paid the supreme sacrifice to defend our country as well. So, got to point out, yes, yesterday some very bad news broke. Stan the Man Lee passed away, and that was a bummer. That was a real bummer. Though I got to be honest, really didn't come as any great surprise. I mean, he was 95 years old, and strangely enough, last year when his wife passed away I want to say it was about 3 weeks before Comic-Con, Greg, my brother Greg and I, we were talking, and I said, well, what's going to happen now? Stan Lee's going to pass away, in a relatively short period of time, because a lot of times with elderly people, when they've been, married for so long, one of the spouses passes away, and usually within about a year, the other spouse follows suit. So, just a bummer. Just a bummer. I mean, Stan Lee, you don't even have to be a comic book fan to realize that Stan Lee had a massive impact on pop culture. There's a lot of things you enjoy right now that without people like Stan Lee, Gary Gygax, that's another person that probably doesn't get enough credit. Without these folks, we would not have all our geeky hobbies that we love so much. I'm not saying that there wouldn't have been comic books, right? But Stan Lee and Marvel did really revolutionize the industry in the 60s. So, just a bummer. Just a real bummer today. Well, yesterday too. So anyway, feeling a little out of it today. I'm not sure why. Don't know. Anyway, do want to point out that originally I was talking about that I would be reviewing Betrayal Legacy today on today's show. That's what I had been kind of talking about all last week. Well, problem is we did not have an opportunity to play any more Betrayal Legacy this weekend. So I have really only played the prologue and first two adventures. And to me, that's not enough to really give a review yet, right? I mean, I'm going to keep the review as spoiler-free as possible for Betrayal Legacy. But still, I need to play it a little bit more before I can put my final stamp on the review. That being said, I got some really cool stuff that showed up yesterday. I was expecting it. Wasn't positive if they were going to arrive in time, but I did receive the newest adventure for Dungeons & Dragons. Yes, it is Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So we're going to actually be taking a look at that today. I'm going to kick back, we're going to page through it, we're going to take a nice deep delve into a first look at Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So I also received the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. So that showed up as well, so I've got that. So here's the weird thing. So the next 5 days, it is going to be kind of like Wizards of the Coast week, right? Because I've got all this Wizards of the Coast stuff. So I want to share it as quickly as I possibly can. So after the news, I will actually talk about what I've got scheduled for this week and next Monday as well. Do want to also mention that starting next Monday, the show is going to change times. So the stream is not going to be afternoons. It is going to be in the evenings. So rather at 2 p.m. Central, it will begin at 7 p.m. Central. Reason behind that is I'm starting my cardiovascular rehab, which I want to say runs about 13 weeks. And I had been bouncing around, actually moving the show to nights anyway, or evenings, I guess I'll say. So this is just a perfect opportunity for me to do so. All right, so also want to mention that because this is a live stream, and I know a vast majority of people watch after the fact, but because this is live, if you are tuning in, there is chat available through YouTube. It is not on screen, but I do follow the chat. So if you want to say hello, or you have a question, a comment, or maybe you want to see something closer up with Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, be sure to chime in and I will respond. So, going to move on to the news, and I like to preface the news by saying those of you out there who do not want to catch the latest tabletop gaming news, check the show notes. There's a timestamp. You can jump right past the news. Okay, so anyway, got to point out, I was really surprised there was not more gaming news cooking. Now, I know a lot of people were, a lot of companies were getting ready for Board Game Geek Con out in Texas. I know some other companies are getting ready for PAX Unplugged as well. But I'm kind of surprised. I thought for sure taking yesterday off, oh yeah, I would have just tons and tons of news to cover today. But I don't. I actually have 3 news pieces. But it should be pretty cool. Should be pretty cool. Now, I do want to point out, before I jump into the news, I'm showing drop frames again today. So I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to try to take a peek. Now, it has not disconnected from YouTube just yet. But on Friday's show, I actually was recording it because, for some strange reason, I was having a lot of problems with drop frames. So you know what? I'm going to try something here real quick. Let's see if I can change this up while I'm streaming. Let me take a look here. Here we go. Output. Let's see if I can change this bit rate down a little bit. Hopefully this doesn't throw the sound off sync. But I know I had recently, I kind of boosted up the frame rate a little bit for YouTube. So I'm wondering if maybe that's what's going on here. I don't know. Would be kind of weird. All right, let me bring everything, back up here. Hey, it's a live show. It's very casual around these parts. So I'm just taking a quick peek here. Yeah, it's not showing any more drop frames at this point. So it might have been that my bit rate was a little bit too high for but my uploads are pretty good. I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, let's jump on into the news because one of my favorite new games this year has a brand new expansion. Hit Kickstarter today for Starling Games, and it's funded already. It funded within, I think, 3 hours, and I've got the dope on Archmage Ascendant. Yes, that's right. Only one can ascend to power and claim the title of Archmage, but power comes in many forms. The true Archmage will need a loyal following, the favor of the mythic races, and a vast spellbook. Ascendant, the first expansion for Archmage, gives you 4 new modules to explore on your way to your prophesized destiny. Archmage is a Euro-themed hybrid that features exploration, resource gathering and management, area control, and a spell combat system. As a fledgling mage, you'll explore a devastated land, deploying local followers from your company of mages to gather lost relics. These magical relics can be traded to 6 mythic races like elves or demons to gain a fundamental knowledge of their magic. Master basic spells, then combine them into higher forms of magic, casting more powerful spells from your ever-changing spellbook. Strengthen your magical prowess of order to followers to ascend to the mantle of Archmage. That just did not read right to me. Anyway, this new expansion includes Places of Power. Before the ending, before the loss of magic, the mythic races each maintained a sacred location. Travel to the edges of the world, unveil mysterious places of power, and use the ancient magic of these locations for as long as you control them. There are new spells. Ascend to a higher plane with new fundamental and advanced spells, allowing you to shape your spellbook in personal and powerful ways. With the help of your loyal followers, you will treat with demons, become a giant, and perhaps even fly. There's prophecies. Soothsayers and seers have predicted how the Archmage will come to power. Are they the mutterings of the insane, or true visions of what is to come? Take note of these prophecies, for the more of them you fulfill, the more likely it is that you are the one foretold. And then there's co-op. Darkness is falling, and you can no longer ascend to power alone. Team up with a fellow Archmage and combine forces, uniting to free the lands of a terrible warlord. A warlord that has learned new tactics, making him even more of a threat in both cooperative and solo play. If you already own Archmage, you can grab Ascendant for $29. And if you haven't already gotten on board with this excellent game, you can score the collector's edition of the core game as well as the expansion for $89, and this is through November 29th. Expected delivery is November of 2019. I gotta say, I really enjoy me some Archmage. In fact, if you have not caught my review, you should check it out. Because it's one of these games where just looking at it, I was like, I don't know. Seems like a lot of different things cooking here. And then when you put it all together, it really works very, very nicely. And the funny thing is, one of my critiques, which was not a major critique, but it was a minor critique, was I would have liked to have seen more spells. Because really, the competing mages all had the same spells to kind of choose from. Well, Ascendant changes that because now there are more spells to kind of personalize your mage a little more. So very, very cool. This is definitely something that I am looking forward to seeing. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait until November of next year. Gotta admit too, I'm kind of surprised Starling Games did not put together a video for this. Don't know why. They're probably busy, because I honestly think my pal Brenna Noonan, who is my contact for Starling, as well as some other games under the Game Salute umbrella, I believe she's off at Board Game Geek Con. So I was lucky to actually get some of the news about this, about the specific modules, because I had to ask, because it was all built into like the images they're sharing on Kickstarter, and I can't pull that info, and I'm not going to sit there like going back and forth between my text that I'm typing out as well as, you know, the images on a Kickstarter. I do have some news about another Kickstarter for something that I also really like, and that is the new Kickstarter for Hero Realms, because White Wizard Games launched a new Kickstarter for a bunch of cool new content today. And here's the dope. A Kickstarter which launched today offers tons of all new content for Hero Realms. That's what I just said. The popular fantasy deck building adventure game. The Hero Realms Journeys Kickstarter includes Journeys expansions. Thus, why it's called Journeys. This series of 12-card expansions will bring players new champions, new actions, and 2 brand new types of cards, quests, and relics. Fans can back the project for just $20 to get all 4 packs. Then there's the Ancestry Pack, which lets fans play as a dwarf, elf, ogre, orc, small folk, which I believe would probably be halflings, or as a Kickstarter exclusive, a half-demon. Each race has health modification, special rules, a racial skill or ability card, and 2 cards that modify the starting deck. Ancestry packs will work with generic starting decks or combine with character packs. Fans who get this expansion could play as an orc wizard, an elf thief, or a half-demon cleric. Hey, why not? For $30, backers can get the Ancestry Pack, Journeys, and all unlocked stretch goals. Then there's the Lost Village. Lost Village transforms the Hero Realms base game into a co-op adventure, investigating the disappearance of the population of an entire village. Lost Village follows Hero Realms, the ruin of Thandar, and allows players to keep upgrading their characters between fights. For $45, backers can get the Lost Village, the Ancestry Park Pack. I almost said park. I did start to say park. The Ancestry Pack and Journeys. Then, of course, there's the Everything tier. So this is if you have not played Hero Realms in the past. This tier gets backers everything from both this Kickstarter and the first Hero Realms Kickstarter. It's perfect for new players because it catches up a collection in one click. It includes Hero Realms, the character packs, the Ruin of Thandar, and all 6 new expansions. So, you've got plenty of stuff right there to jump on into. Now, I do want to point out that White Wizard Games do have a video for the Kickstarter. It's a little more than 3 minutes. It's about 3.5 minutes long. So let's kick back. Oh, you know what? I didn't even set it up yet. So let me...
It is the 16th century. All Japan is at war. Feudal warlords called big names, rising from the night caste, have carved the nation into warring states. Chivalric virtue, Buddhist moderation, friendship, and loyalty fade and fall before the hunger for conquest and glory.
Alright, so what happens when I got down here like 10 minutes before the show started. Thought I had everything set up. Rats! So, yeah, still looks like we're dropping some frames, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, let's take a peek at the Hero Realms Kickstarter video.
Hi, I'm Rob Doherty, CEO of White Wizard Games, the creators of Star Realms. 2 years ago, with the help of Kickstarter backers like you, we brought Hero Realms to life with its award-winning base game, the character packs that let you play as a cleric, fighter, ranger, thief, or wizard, and the Ruin of Thandar campaign deck that melds deck building and role-playing to transform Hero Realms into a cooperative, leveling deck building game. If you missed out back then, don't worry. You can get everything from this and the first Hero Realms Kickstarter in the Everything tier. And for all the Hero Realms fans who've been asking for new sets, we've heard you. This Kickstarter features 6 new Hero Realms sets, 4 different Journeys packs, the Ancestry pack, and the Lost Village campaign deck. For just $20, you get all 4 Journeys packs, each containing 12 new Hero Realms cards. The Travelers and Hunters packs feature all new champions and actions for your market deck, like Pellis the Seeker, who can put an action on top of your deck, or Sway, which lets you temporarily take control of an opponent's champion. The Discovery and Conquest packs each contain 6 new quests and 6 new relic cards. You get secret quests at the start of the game, each giving you a special objective. When you complete a quest, you immediately acquire a powerful relic card as your reward. Jump up to the $30 Ancestry tier, and you'll also get all the stretch goals we unlock, plus the Ancestry pack, which allows you to play Hero Realms as a stout dwarf, a wise elf, a mighty ogre, a savage orc, a cunning small folk, or as the Kickstarter exclusive half demon. Each race comes with an Ancestry card that shows that race's health modifications and special rules, a racial skill or ability card, and 2 cards that are added to your starting deck. You can play a race with a generic starting deck or combine it with a character pack. So you could play as an ogre wizard, an elven ranger, a dwarven fighter, or any one of the 30 new race class combinations. If you want all the new stuff, get the $45 Lost Village tier, which has all that plus the Lost Village campaign deck. You and your friends each choose a character. Together you'll face deadly foes, find treasures that are permanently added to your starting deck, and earn experience that you can spend to improve your character's skills, abilities, and starting health. The Lost Village features 3 encounters laid out in a full-color adventure book, and contains over 100 cards, including 12 oversized master cards. It picks up the story where the ruin of Thandar left off. The village of Heart's End lies abandoned and overrun by monstrous beasts. You must defeat these creatures and find out what happened to the people. Rescue them if they yet live, or avenge them if they are dead. Thank you for watching, and thank you so much for your support. We couldn't make these great games without backers like you. Press the green button. Back now.
The Hero Realms Kickstarter is already over 100% funding in its first day, and as I mentioned before, you can reserve the Journeys pack, I should say packs, for a $20 pledge, the Ancestry pack, which includes Journeys, for a $30 pledge, the Lost Village tier, which includes all the new goodies, for a $45 pledge, or if you're new to Hero Realms, go all in and score all the Hero Realms releases outside of some of the add-ons that are part of this Kickstarter, like playmats, things like that. But you can get that for $99 through December 6th. The delivery is estimated for December of next year. Boo, hiss boo. Gotta say, I really like Hero Realms. I reviewed it. It's been quite a while. Really, really dug it. Really enjoyed it. And in fact, it is something that I have to keep in my car all the time. No joke, right? So here it is. There's my Hero Realms that I keep in my car. So it is the core game as well as the character decks and the monster deck. Or I should say the two monsters, the Lich and the Dragon. So very, very cool. I gotta be honest, I like Hero Realms more than Star Realms. Now, I've only played a little bit of Star Realms. But to me, I don't know, it just... Hero Realms clicks more in my head than Star Realms, and I think part of it is because it's a deck building game. When your heroes are like discarded and things like that, and then you might be able to get them back. To me, that makes a little more sense than having these bases that get like destroyed, but then you get them back. I don't know. That doesn't make as much sense. Anyway, but really like Hero Realms, so definitely check this out if you're a fan. And if you've never played, I definitely give Hero Realms a big thumbs up. All right, my final news piece is for a new historical role-playing game title. It's really caught my eye. It's now available from Nocturnal Media, and I've got the dope on Paladin, Warriors of Charlemagne. Written by Ruben Int Groen. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. And powered by the award-winning and best-selling rule set from King Arthur Pendragon by Greg Stafford. Paladin covers the famous exploits of Charlemagne and his loyal friends and warriors, the Paladins of Charlemagne. Set in medieval Europe, Paladin weaves together the historical Carolingian events. Carolingian. What am I thinking, Jeff? It's Carolingian events and the medieval epics of the Matter of France into a single coherent chronology. My gosh, Jeff, why can't I talk today? I am cracking up. In Paladin, the players play young Frankish squires or knights in the service of one of Charlemagne's powerful vassals. By going on adventures, they will acquire glory and riches, become lords of their own lands, build castles, and found their own family. Hopefully, the road to fame will lead to the ultimate goal, becoming one of the legendary paladins themselves, along the likes of Roll and Ogier the Dane, Renauld, Oliver, William Shortnose, and others. Paladin is a game of medieval fantasy played using feudal standards of conduct, offering a chance to experience vicariously that long-lost world in both its brutal reality and its fantastic idealism. The player characters are knights, with the privileges of elite society, the deadly responsibilities of a warrior. These dualisms, brutal reality versus idealism, and elite privilege versus deadly burden, are the basis for the game. Paladin is a game for knights. It is based on the standards of knighthood found in the original literature about Charlemagne and the Paladins. Epics such as the Song of Roland, Ogier the Dane, Amon's Four Sons, and more. It's not about magicians, thieves, or scholars. In this game, designed for playing the heavily armed and armored chevaliers of Carolingian literature, knighthood is complex enough. The 463-page PDF, wow, that is mighty big, is available right now from Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. Gotta say, Nocturnal Media had me at the point where they said this was based on King Arthur Pendragon by Greg Stafford, who unfortunately recently passed away, which was another bummer. Anyway, that is a fantastic system. This sounds really, really interesting, and it is less fantastical, I guess we will say, than Pendragon would be, because I don't believe there's magics and things like that with this. And that is a mighty big PDF, 463 pages, for $19.99. So if it has sparked your interest, be sure to check that out. Do want to also mention that whenever I talk about Drive-Thru RPG, the Gaming Gang is an affiliate of Drive-Thru. So if you are swinging over to one of the Drive-Thru sites, I do ask, please pop by thegaminggang.com, click on one of our banners for the Drive-Thru sites, and if you make a purchase, we get a little piece of the action there. And all those little bitty quarters and dimes all really add up. They add up a lot and really help me keep the Gaming Gang website as well as the Daily Dope kicking. All right, so that is it for today's news. Before I jump into our first look at Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, I do want to talk about what's coming up on the show for the rest of this week. Like I said, it's a bit of a Wizards of the Coast kind of thing going on, because I had some of these items show up for review, and I thought, well, you know what? There were a few items that I kind of, I was filling in different days with, and I thought, well, like for an example, A Distant Plane from GMT Games, the new edition. Awesome. I want to take a look at that for Wargame Wednesday, but it's a game I've already reviewed, so I thought, well, you know what? How about reviewing something that's new to most people? So on tomorrow's show, I'm actually using it to hold up the book here. Tomorrow's show, I'm going to review Axis and Allies and Zombies, because we have played this enough for me to do a review of Axis and Allies and Zombies. So that's on tomorrow's show. Then on Thursday's show, I had already planned on doing this. I am going to actually review the Dungeon Master's Guide for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I know people were thinking, geez, Jeff, come on, really? I mean, that's been out for so long. Why are you reviewing it? Because I've never reviewed it. You know what? And I love sharing RPG books, physical RPG books. So I'm going to do a review of this. We're going to page through it. I'm going to talk a little bit about some things about Dungeons & Dragons, Wizards of the Coast that probably aren't really well-known public knowledge. I mean, they're not secrets or anything like that. But I think sometimes people are a little harsh on D&D and Wizards of the Coast. And if they knew all the things that kind of go on behind the scenes, especially budget-wise, they would probably cut Wizards of the Coast and the D&D gang a little more slack. They really would. So this is on Thursday's show. Friday's show, we're going to take a first look and page through the Guild Master's Guide to Ravnica. So this is a new release as well. And then on Monday's show, fingers crossed that we get a chance to get those games in. Hopefully I'll be able to review Betrayal Legacy from Avalon Hill, which is a division of Wizards of the Coast, right? So hopefully I'll be able to do that. I think we should be able to. We only need to get a couple of games in, a couple more of the adventures out of the 14, and I should be good. All right, so I'm sure folks are tuning in because they want to get a first look at Dungeons & Dragons Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. The lead designer was Chris Perkins, with additional design work from Bill Benham, Lissa Chen, Keel Cheney, guessing there, Dan Dillon, Claire Hoffman, James Intricasso, Greg Marks, Alan Patrick, Ben Petrosor, and Travis Woodall. The 320-page adventure. No! I don't want all these images coming up. The heck's going on, man? Suppose only be one image there. Darn you. Anyway, the 320-page adventure did arrive in select friendly local game stores this past Friday, and we'll see a much wider release on November 20th. This adventure does carry an MSRP of $49.95, so let's move on over to the other camera, and let's take a look at Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So I'm going to throw on my reading specs for this. So this is the follow-up to Waterdeep Dragon Heist. So in reality, as far as I understand, your players do not have to have been through that adventure, even though that adventure was for levels 1 through 5, I want to say. I think it was 1 through 5. So you don't necessarily have to have run your players through, but it's probably a good idea. I liked the adventure. I thought it was pretty fun. I liked there was a little sandboxy nature to it, as far as what time of year you decided you wanted to run the game. Your version of it. You had some options of who the big bad was, so that was kind of cool too. Just a lot of cool stuff. I like the urban, a lot of detail in the urban area, as well as the player characters get something. I don't want to spoil anything. Player characters actually receive something early on in the adventure that I thought was kind of cool. Don't usually see that stuff like in an adventure for D&D. Maybe in the old days, some of the old stuff. On occasion. Kind of like a base of operations is what I'm trying to say here. But I thought that was kind of interesting. Overall, I really liked it. I enjoyed it. That being said, I think I have pointed out enough times that I'm like, hacking all these really old D&D adventures for kind of my take on Dungeon World with the gang. So one of these days, maybe I'll devote part of a Thursday show when I talk about RPGs, talk about how that's coming along. It's fun. It's actually pretty cool. All right, so anyway, you're not tuning in to listen to me regale you with tales of another game system, even though I am using D&D modules. You're tuning in because you want to see Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So it says, the greatest dungeon of them all. In the city of Waterdeep rests a tavern called the Yawning Portal, named after the gaping pit in its common room. At the bottom of this crumbling shaft is a labyrinthine dungeon shunned by all but the most daring adventurers. Known as Undermountain, this dungeon is the domain of the mad wizard Alistair Blackcloak. Long has the Mad Mage dwelt in these, forlorn depths, seeding his lair with monsters, traps, and mysteries. To what end? That question is a constant source of speculation and concern. This adventure picks up where Waterdeep Dragon Heist leaves off, taking characters of 5th level or higher, all the way to 20th level, should they explore the entirety of Alistair's home. 23 levels of Undermountain are detailed herein, along with the subterranean refuge of Skullport. Treasures and secrets abound, but tread with care. So, of course, you should have the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual in order to play. So, one of the things I always like about the Wizards of the Coast releases is, and I don't necessarily mean this as a knock on Paizo, but I have found with like Paizo adventures, it's sort of like, well, you should have this book and this book and this book and that book and this, blah, blah. It's like 8 books. And I'm like, what? Seriously? Just to run this campaign? Jeez, really? All right. But then again, that's because Paizo releases so much stuff as opposed to, there's new releases every single month as opposed to Wizards of the Coast and their D&D releases. I'm actually very surprised that we've got Dungeon of the Mad Mage arriving as soon as we did. So we're going to get maybe a little bit of glare, so I'm going to try to... You know what? Let's do this. Let's take this. Oh, as I bang into the camera. I'm going to place this... Yeah, I'm going to kind of lift the book up a little bit, so I don't have to hold it up myself. So anyway, I was going to say, I was a little surprised at how quickly Dungeon of the Mad Mage followed up on Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I mean, granted, it wasn't like a month or so later, but usually it's about every 6 months that that kind of goes between different D&D releases, and this was much, much quicker than that. All right, so one thing I'm going to point out is that with many of the review copies of physical books I get, a lot of times the publishers send out copies that are a little dinged, might have a little bit of a flaw to them, simply because they're review copies, right? So I'll give you an example here, because it looks like we're seeing some of the... Oops, as that goes falling down. We're seeing kind of the stitching popping out. Well, not further on, but at least early on. Like here, right? There's a little ding in the corner of the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica here. This doesn't bother me. I mean, simply because, you know, it's a review copy, right? I mean, if I were someone who went and ordered this and got this in the mail and, you know, I purchased it, I'd be like, hey, what the hell? But no, it's a review copy. That doesn't bother me at all. But that's one thing I do point out, that a lot of times, I think some reviewers don't realize that either. Because I have heard on occasion some reviewers say, oh, well, you know, this is all scratched up or blah, blah, blah. That's like, well, yeah, it's a review copy. So, got our credits over here. Once again, loads and loads of illustrators. I usually like to give the artists in that some due when I'm doing review or page throughs and reviews and stuff, but there's so many of them that yikes. So, but that's cool. All right, so we've got the contents here. One thing I will point out is if you are hoping that your dungeon master is going to run this, see you tomorrow. Thanks for stopping in. Because even though it's not a review, and usually when I do reviews for adventures, I try to keep it kind of spoiler free. But we are paging through this. We are going to see some stuff. I'm sure there's going to be illustrations of some big bands, some major monsters in here. So, just pointing that out. So we got a dungeon key here. So, Undermountain overview. Undermountain is the largest, deepest dungeon in the Forgotten Realms. This book aims to touch on every major level of that vast, dangerous place. Yes, because it can't be... I would think that Castle Greyhawk is actually the deepest dungeon, but that's not in the Forgotten Realms. That's in Greyhawk. Anyway, this book aims to touch on every major level of this vast, dangerous place. You can run it as a standalone adventure or use it in conjunction with its precursor, Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Okay, so talking about running the adventure, area descriptions, we got some abbreviations, character advancement, the levels of the Undermountain. Kind of telling you, okay, so what your character levels should be at each of these different levels here. So that's kind of cool. And of course, once again, 5th edition has either you can use the experience points or the Dungeon Master can decide, well, you know, at this point in time, you should level up. So you've got those two options there. It says each dungeon level contains enough monster XP to ensure that characters who clear out the level can advance to the point where they're ready to take on challenges of the next level down. Cool. You can also award XP for overcoming traps and for exceptional role-playing with key NPCs. So it shows some bonus XP awards. Cool, so does that mean we're not going to see a bunch of random encounter tables? That'd be pretty sweet. So we got the history of the dungeon, got the Yawning Portal. So if your players have gone through, or if you're planning on running them through Dragon Heist, it does start off in the Yawning Portal. So if your characters have been playing Dragon Heist, they'll have some familiarity with the Yawning Portal. Plus, of course, you've got the Tales from the Yawning Portal as well that came out a while back for 5th edition that reprinted and revamped some classic adventures for 5th edition. So we got some adventure hooks, starting quests, hunt for magic items and spell books. So we got, these are some of the adventure hooks talking about future quests, dungeon features, alterations to magic, the architecture, talking about the goals of the Mad Mage. Oh, look, there we go. Dungeon level 1. What dwells here? So talking about, Xanathar's Guild. All right, that's kind of cool. Xanathar is the underworld heavy, the boss of the underworld gang. He's the beholder. It's kind of cool. So we got wandering monsters. So I have to admit, from looking at the cover here, I assume the character's going to run across a mind flayer here. I have to assume that's a drow. That I don't know. Is that an orc? I think it might be an orc. I'm not positive. All right, so exploring the level. Got a map of the level here as well. I was looking forward to this because this harkens back to, the dungeon delves of, classic Dungeons and Dragons. The classic sort of, like old school Renaissance or revival, whatever you want to consider it these days. What they really focus on. Not so much, hey, we're telling a story here, but hey, we're going and we're kicking monster butts to get treasure, magic items, and things like that. So we're getting all the various different keys to the first level here. Vampire Haven. Whoa, Bandit Headquarters. Wow, there's a lot of baddies to hear already, and we're only in the first level. So I am kind of curious when we've got a dungeon of this size, how well these monsters and these creatures, whoever the inhabitants are of the dungeon, how well they mesh together. Because sometimes you would see, especially old school, even stuff nowadays that some of these companies that really focus on OSR adventures kind of throw in there that you go, there these dungeon delves and there's no real rhyme or reason to the monsters that you run into, and it's like, what's going on here? Halls of Hopelessness. Hall of Mirrors. All right, excavation site. Flip it on through. Well, so far I have to point out that there is some cool artwork, but we're not seeing tons and tons of artwork, right? What do we have? Is there one image in all that, plus the map in the first level here? Okay, there's the map. Yeah, then there's the image. Isn't that a manticore? Could have swore it isn't. I think that's a manticore. All right, arcane chambers on level 2. Not sure what those are. Those rust monsters? Not positive. Okay, so here we go. Looks like we've got some goblins on this level here. Oh, I gotta say, this is probably gonna be just a real treat for people who dig the dungeon delves. Ooze Temple. Mutated Apprentices. Bastille. Resistance. One of the old Dungeons and Dragons modules that I was looking at, I've been kind of lifting some stuff off from for my fantasy game with the gang, is the Lost City. And because to me it doesn't matter, it could be Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, it could be basic D&D or expert D&D, or it could be any edition. It doesn't matter because I'm like just pulling different pieces and stuff. So I kind of get a kick out of the whole old school, just kind of going through, monster bashing as you go through. What we used to call Monty Hall, or Monty Hallism, which is very old school. It used to be Monty Hall was the host of Let's Make a Deal, and if you've seen Let's Make a Deal, it's like, oh, what's behind this door? What's behind that door? What's behind this door? And plus, they called it Monty Hall, but it was Haul, because you were basically just, you know, murder hobos going through to go get treasure and stuff, hauling the stuff out. Sargoth level. Okay. What dwells here? Exploring the level. Sea hags of the Sargoth. Oh, looks like a subterranean river running through on this level. Oh, cool. Nice. Captain's Grave, Caves of the River Coven. Booty Hunters. Guess they're ghosts. Drow Town. Oh, yeah, figured we'd run across some drow in the Undermountain. Alright, then we got the Twisted Caverns. Is that an Umber Hulk? I don't know, maybe not. I gotta admit, I'm not always real up on my D&D monsters here. Oh, so there we go. We got some fungus forest. Can't have like underground layers and stuff like that without some fungus related stuff. Looks like we got some drow here as well. Again, what's that? A piece of paper. Okay, Grotto of Madness. Level 5 is Willowwood. Looks like we got some elves. Huh. Interesting. Looks like we've got, is that, yeah, it looks like more, underground rivers or something like that. Okay, let's take a look here. Like I said, it's, pretty cool. You're not, I mean, I like a lot of images in my role-playing game books. I really do, because it kind of gets my juices flowing, kind of inspires me. But there are times when you'll get a product and it's like, wow, just way too many images, way too much fluff. And you're like, wow, I paid X dollars and I only got so much game content. The rest is all fluff or images. As we can see, that is not the case here. It looks like we're just getting kind of a half-page image with each of the levels of the dungeon. So we've got level 6, the Lost level. Don't know how that's lost, since it's there. Looks like we've got a Royal Armory, Gem Extraction, King Melair's Lost Tomb. I'm really curious how all of this, you know, jives together. So, but of course, I'm sure that's, you know, earlier in here is probably, you know, the history of the dungeon and stuff like that early on. Probably going to tell me more about that kind of stuff. Music Hall, Mad Goth's Castle. Oh, wow, that's kind of cool. That's I wonder if that's supposed to be a giant? I don't know. The castle, there's an underground castle? Wow, sweet. Let's see what else we got here. Different chambers. Oh, Aftermath, that's always good. Let's see, what was the Aftermath? Hey, I do have to point out that, taking a quick peek here, it looks as if that change in the bit rate may have helped out, because we haven't dropped that many frames. I think we dropped maybe 30 frames since I changed that. So fingers crossed that that was what was going on. And yes, Pinky and Smokey are down here with me again in the Duct Tape Studios. You may have just heard Pinky over there kind of chiming in real quick. All right, let's see. So we've got Slither Swamp, level 8. Now, it looks like this is kind of, this is maybe an underground, yeah. Is that what it just said, swamp? I mean, I was going to say it's an underground swamp. Yes, swamp, Jeff. You just read it right there in the title. Duh. So, Temple of the Great Snake. Lair of the Spirit Nagas. Oh, hey, wow, cool. Oh, wow. That is not a creature that I'm familiar with. I do not know what monster that is. Oh, there we go. Mind Flayer. Thought we were gonna run into a mind flare at some point. Yeah, as you can tell, there is like just this is gonna take a long time for players to make their way through. Plus, there's absolutely no way your player characters are gonna go and like start. Okay, well we'll start at level 1, go through all 23 levels without ever returning to the surface. So lots of stuff that you're going to be able to utilize, and a good dungeon master is going to keep in mind the things that the player characters may have missed along the way. So on their return trip, you can use those things against them, or maybe they've made some allies along the way that can help them out too. So that's cool. Hey, a potion brewery. All right. I can also see that each of these areas, there are a few different things that they're kind of throwing in there about each. Like I just saw here, the potion brewery, pointing out, oh, there's an odor. This chamber reeks of chemical admixtures. Then it's kind of talking about what's in there. I kind of like when games will kind of float out stuff for the dungeon master to utilize about what other senses other than sight, right? What you're hearing, what you can smell. The ear, maybe the ear has a certain taste, kind of a tang on your lips or tang on your tongue. Hey, it's the Transmutation Classroom. Hallister's Sanctuary. Okay, so we're getting closer. There we go. There's a drow. Weird thing that I always find is how the drow are depicted. And I know there are people out there who are like, oh man, I hate the drow. I think the drow have been so overused, or they're just not scary anymore. Personally, I remember for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons back in first edition AD&D, the giant series that led into the drow series, and then there was the big capper, like the 7th adventure with the drow, where the players actually have to take on Lolth. I think that's how it's pronounced. Her name's pronounced. I'm telling you what, drow were really awesome back then. I mean, they were brand new. They were these dark elves. Nobody had ever, heard of them before. Worshipping a spider queen and like what? So personally, I like the drow. I think the drow are cool to utilize as villains. I think what some people don't care about them is because of Drizzt and how, now the drow are supposed to be just like completely evil. In fact, I almost think that Gary Gygax kind of utilized Michael Moorcock's Melnibonéans as kind of an inspiration for the drow. But, the big deal with Drizzt was, hey, he's a drow, but he's actually a good guy. And then suddenly it's like, well, all these player characters are playing drow who are like, oh, well, I'm a good guy too. And so we're like, well, that kind of takes away the impact that Drizzt has, because the drow are not good. They're evil. Now we got a troglodyte warren. Sweet. Okay, so that's level 11. Drow battle. Yeah, there we go. Speaking of the drow again. Then we got a maze level. Looks like we got some minotaurs. Almost like minotaur ghosts? Minotaur spirits or something here? Huh. Okay. So we got a maze level. Yeah, of course, if it's a maze, toss in some minotaurs, right? Okay, so Shrine of the Horned King, Foggy Caves, Guarded Caves, Demon's Ledge, Spiderwatch Keep. Ooh, that looks pretty cool. I have no clue what that is. None whatsoever. Looks like a worm of some sort. Tunnels and Trenches. Hey, that's my new role-playing game. I'm going to call it Tunnels and Trenches. Vast Cavern. We got some more kobolds. So we do have a sprinkling of the various different enemies, or at least creatures and cultures sprinkled through different levels of the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which I like that. I like that fact, because it'd be kind of silly if it's like, oh, well, you know, we're the goblins and we're on second level here, but you won't run across goblins anywhere else, just on the second level. To me, that's just lazy adventure design, lazy dungeon design. All right, level 14. Yeah, like I said, it's gonna take your player characters probably until the next adventure release to get through this. Because there is just, like I said, there's 23 levels to this dungeon. What was Castle Greyhawk? Wasn't that? I think Gary Gygax originally had, I think it played out to like 50 levels. It was Gygax and, gosh, I'm trying to remember his one friend who kind of became, in the early, very, very early, I don't want to say days of Dungeons and Dragons, because I don't even think it was published yet. But maybe it was. I think White Box was out. But one of his friends became like the co-dungeon master, because Gygax was the dungeon master, and he created some of the different levels for Castle Greyhawk. And I think Castle Greyhawk was supposed to have like 50 levels. And the funny thing is, I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but the thing was, I guess for the longest time, a lot of people really wanted Gygax to publish all 50 levels of Castle Greyhawk. And then, yeah, we're not going to get into the whole thing with TSR and all that other stuff, but when he was releasing stuff for, was it Castles and Crusades? I think it was Castles and Crusades. And he had the, what was it, Castle Zygag or something like that, which is Gygax spelled backwards, which was actually supposed to be Castle Grayskull. They went through all these notes and things like that from years before, and the thing was, so much of this was like created on the fly that it was nearly impossible to recreate all 50 levels of the dungeon. So, and in fact, unfortunately, Gygax passed away before they could even release like a whole completed Zygag dungeon. But I thought it was kind of funny how, you know, all these stories through the years about Castle Greyhawk. And my gosh, it was just 50 levels of dungeon crawl. Pretty wild. Alright, so as we continue to move along through here... Oh, look at this! We actually have an image that is not part of the chapter break. Wow. I think that's the only one, right? I mean, I was sitting there talking as I was flipping through pages here, but yeah, I think that was like one of the only one, maybe two. All right, so then we've got level 16, Crystal Labyrinth. Stardock, okay. War Wizards. Knight's Quarters, Mess Hall. Sea Deeps. Are we suddenly underwater? Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Well, looks like there's a Mind Flayer colony. You better be pretty high level by the time you get to this point. I can never pronounce these right. Githyanki? I don't know. Githyanki? I know they've been around for quite some time. Was it the Fiend Folio that they first appeared in way back in the day? In fact, I could have swore, aren't they like the cover or the original Fiend Folio? Aren't they like the cover monster? I don't know. Maybe I'm cracking up. There have been hundreds of role-playing games that I've read through and adventures and stuff over the years, so I might be completely wrong, but... Alright, so we've got Altered Deep. Oh, alright, so we finally seen a dragon. I figured we would get to a dragon here. So this is level 18, Van Rakdoom? Van Rakdoom? Wonder if that's the name of the dragon here. Alright, so floating on through here. Hall of Death. Any moon stars in here? Decrepit dining hall. Vampire boss. Caverns of Ooze. Well, there we go. There's a mind flayer there. So wait a second. Okay, so taking a look at this. Doesn't that make you think of the old Spelljammer? I don't know. I mean, that's what's kind of popping out in my head, right? You know, it's probably the tricorn hat and the saber there that's kind of making me think that. But yeah, I'm thinking Spelljammer. Don't know. All right, so Caverns of Ooze. Yeah, look at this. It looks like a ship on this map here. Yeah, there we go. The Scavenger. Wait a second. The Scavenger, that's from... I want to say that's from Dragon Heist. That the drow criminal who's trying to muscle... I can't remember the character's name. He's trying to muscle in on Xanathar's action. I could have swore that's his ship. That's called the Scavenger. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but for some reason, that's what I was thinking. Thanks for the memories. So I have to say that, you know, I don't think it comes from Wizards of the Coast. I think it's from an outside company. But recently they've started to release these, it's like boxes. I'll have to look closer into it because I've kind of seen it on the periphery. They look really, really cool for the various different adventures. And I think they did one for Dragon Heist, and I think they're doing one for Dungeon of the Mad Mage. And it's like this big box, and I think it's got like map tiles in it, miniatures, and we're talking, you know, not like the little plastic minis, but they are unpainted. But a bunch of miniatures. It's like almost like a almost like an exclusive limited edition. And but I think they run for like $300, something like that. But they do look pretty cool. I'll have to take a look. So we got we're getting close to the bottom here. Runestone Caverns. Is that a lich? Oh, it says Lair of the Mummy Lord. Mad Mage's puzzle. Weird magic. Weird magic. Stalagmite Tower. Oh, okay. There is a lich. Alright, so I'm taking a guess these are demons. Terminus level. Well, you're by the time you're getting down into here, you're probably like, hey, when we finish up this dungeon, let's just go take over. Just go upstairs and take over Waterdeep, because you're gonna be high enough level to be doing that. That's for sure. So we got through here, hammers and anvils. Poisonous Mine, Clean Air Station, Shadow Dusk Hold. The Shadow Dusk family. Okay. Shadow Dusk Hold is designed for 4 17th level characters, and characters who defeat the monsters on this level should gain enough XP to advance halfway to 18th level. Wow, that's a lot. Does each of these chapters open up like that? I didn't notice that. Let me take a look. Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah, it tells you, you know, what levels your player character should be. So one thing I like here is, okay, so it's saying four characters. I get a kick out of checking out like these old modules, because when TSR had Dungeons and Dragons, the adventures were called modules. When Wizards of the Coast took over, then they started calling them adventures, right? So I tend to refer to stuff as modules. I swear, I'll start reading one, and there's tons of stuff I never saw, right? Because I think I pointed out before that I played Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, my first gaming purchase, I think either my first or second gaming purchase was actually G1, the G1 module, thinking, oh wow, that's the whole game, not realizing, hey, you need these other books, dummy. Then again, what do you want? I was like, I don't know, 11 years old, 12 years old, or something like that. But so I didn't. I got into Call of Cthulhu really early. I think I was like a freshman when I first picked up Call of Cthulhu, and that became my RPG. So there's a lot of advanced Dungeons and Dragons and any kind of Dungeons and Dragons stuff over, 30-some years that that I just wasn't aware of. But I have been kind of looking through a lot of these old modules and stuff, and I had to laugh because it'd be like, this adventure is for 6 to 10 player characters. You're like, what? And there's one I was looking at, I think it was like, this is for 8 to 12 player characters, and I'm thinking, how in the world would you have, I mean, just think of it, nowadays, you wouldn't be playing a role-playing game if you needed to have, get together 10 of your friends every week to be able to play it. So, just how times have changed. Of course, back then it wasn't a big deal where it's like, oh, well, you throw in some hirelings, some NPCs. So we got the Mad Wizard's Lair. Down, 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 all the way at the bottom. 4 characters is 17th level or higher. And wow, we should defeat enough monsters to actually get to 20th level. That is pretty wild. That's a lot of experience points, that's for sure. No retreat. I'll tell you what, if you've made it all the way down to the 23rd level, you're probably not looking at retreating now. Wisley Wards, Vaults, Arcane Display. Hey, look, another image that is not part of the chapter break. Is that maybe the second or third one? Oh, look, another one. Alright, so, Hallister's Tower. Gate Icewind Dale. Sweet. Scrying Room, Mad Mage Showdown. I saw a flying saucer. I'm like, wait a second. It's going to turn out he's an alien? No, it's not. And then we got the conclusion. Then we got Skullport, a grim cutthroat outpost of civilization where adventurers can resupply and take refuge. Oh, okay. So this is probably, rather than the player characters making their way all the way back up to Waterdeep, from various levels, it looks as if they'll probably return to Skullport. Looks like it's kind of a small town. Exploring Skull Island. Oh, wow. What in the world is... Oh, okay. Looks like kind of a 2-level... Is it a 2-level town of some sort, or is there a dungeon underneath the town? Might be a dungeon. I don't know. Oh no, this looks like this might be a keep of some sort, because it's saying to the town of Skullport. And then I think this is Skullport. Yeah, because it says to lower Skullport. This is the middle Skullport. And this is upper Skullport. Huh. Interesting. Okay, so it's giving us all the different information about the various different locations in this town. Oh, look, there's a petrified purple worm. Right there. And there's like a shadow of a spider here. Okay. Alright, and then we get into the appendix. Dungeon Denizens. Alright, so here's the Mad Mage himself. Alistair Blackcloak. Champions. Lava Child. Living Unseen Servant. A mural? Oh, it's like a scorpion kind of creature with like a head on it with arms? That's pretty wild. Shadow Assassin, Werebat. It's funny because it's all like evil, 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 evil. Lawful evil, chaotic evil, neutral evil. Then we've got an Elder Runes deck, and we've got a Secrets deck. So, cool. And I am going to assume that you can probably pick up these decks as actual decks of cards somewhere as well. Although this is just showing the different runes on it. So that's, I don't know if you need a deck for this, but this does look like you probably need... Yeah, I get a kick out of it. It's like, okay, here's for you to cut these out. It's like, yeah, you're not going to be cutting these out of the book. This isn't the 80s. Where it'd be like, yeah, okay, snip, 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 snip. Sweet. All right, so, and that is the 220 pages of Waterdeep, Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Very nice. I look forward to digging into this and reading this in depth. So, I can't say that I'll have that done by next Thursday. I'll try. I'll do my best. See if we can get a review out there, because then it's right after the game releases, because it comes out, I think, a week from today. Is the 20th? Yeah, it'd be a week from today. So do my best to try to get through this and get a review out there by next Thursday. So sweet. All right, so that is it for today's show. As I mentioned previously, well, I should point out that Waterdeep, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, is in some select friendly local game stores right now. And it does carry an MSRP of $49.95, and it will release to a wider range of locations on November 20th. So on tomorrow's show, I am going to be reviewing Axis and Allies and Zombies from Avalon Hill. Yes, it's like Wizards of the Coast week around here. For the next 5 shows, I'm tackling Wizards of the Coast stuff. And nobody's paying me to do that. Nobody asked me to do that. It's just kind of the way things are playing out. They've got a lot of new stuff that's kind of hitting at the same time. So, anyway, as I like to say when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to go visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Come on, by now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I will be back tomorrow for War Game Wednesday, where I'll be reviewing Axis and Allies and Zombies. So, until then, enjoy the rest of your day, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.